In the early days of YouTube, animation exploded. Animators who were usually very young, from young adults to even teenagers, were receiving millions of video views and thousands of AdSense dollars in the early days of YouTube monetization. These animations were usually animated shorts and skits or video game parodies. Not long after that time, however, YouTube changed their algorithm to favor watch time over view count. On top of this, channels that posted more regularly were also more favored by the algorithm. The production of a 5 to 10 minute animated short, which would take months of work to produce, just simply couldn't compete with Let's Players and vloggers who could create one 10 to 20 minute video or more a day. And some of the most popular YouTube animators of the day have since gone on to create more gameplay-centric channels, such as Ego Raptor's transition into the Game Grumps channel and Oni NG's transition into Oni Plays. Now, these YouTubers, of course, still use their art skills to make their channels stand out, but no longer rely on virality from animation projects that are time-consuming to produce and extremely difficult to build a sustainable income from. And so, around the year 2014, it looked like animation could no longer compete on YouTube. And as a result, it, as a medium, died on the platform. Or did it? No, the answer is no. You read the title. And that was a very lengthy setup to begin the conversation that we're going to be talking about today, but it's done now, so let's start talking about it. Animation's back, baby! That was a really cool spin. So how did animation have its comeback on YouTube, and why? Well, the how part is pretty easy to explain. Animation had to compete with easy to produce content, therefore animation had to become easier to produce.
There are corners that are being cut. I would rather have more videos out that aren't lip synced than fewer videos that are. It's you know, you kind of have to like pick and choose what you want to have in your videos. We are trying to keep up with the algorithm.
Now, add on top of that, YouTube as a platform has become much more personality focused than it's ever been before. We see ourselves in the channels we subscribe to, and we build genuine connections and relationships with the content creators.
What's different from before, the animation before and animation now, is that the animation before, and even YouTube in general before, was mainly about making good quality one-off content. That's why comedy sketches and animation predominated the early internet. But now I think slowly but surely we are getting to a stage where personality-driven content is the forefront. You don't think of Liza Koshy as a vlogger, you think of Liza Koshy full stop, and you think of Jaiden and James full stop. They are the personality, you know? And so that's why we've slowly gone from story, perhaps narrative, one-offs to story time, throwing your personality on top of the screen.
And as a result of these two factors, a new expression of animated content began to really flourish, namely Storytime animation. Storytime animation consisted of channels with simple cartoon avatars of the channel's namesake telling personal stories or making critical observations in a humorous way.
So there I am in my parents' attic, going through my old stuff when I find this.
What is that? What is that? What is that? Is that from another girl?
The simplicity of the animation style and visual presentation allowed for a much more speedy and flexible production process, while the personal nature of the videos created memorable personas and comedy styles more suited to the YouTube of today. Now, for a moment, let's just step back from talking about how animation came back and just focus briefly on the environment animation came back in. You see, while gaming and reaction and vlogging channels exploded in popularity because of the simple nature of how those videos are produced, so did the efforts of people trying to hit it big on YouTube. These formats are so easy to replicate and attempt that YouTube has seen a massive flood of people trying to grab a slice of that good old YouTube pie. With hundreds of thousands of channels hoping to hit it big, YouTube very quickly became a very noisy place, where each video was more clickbaity than the last and each vlogger more extreme or controversial. And yet, as the noise of YouTube seemed to hit a crescendo, animation exploded out of obscurity. And not the consistently loud, explosive and noisy version of animation that was previously popular on YouTube, but a much more personal and quiet and quirky form of animation. So why did animation come back on YouTube with a bang? Well, I believe that the very noise, chaos and clickbait on YouTube, combined with the pent-up hunger for animation, were the key factors that brought about the renaissance, or renaissance? I get told off for how I say that word. Renaissance of animation on YouTube. What was I even talking about? Let's get back on track. I believe it was the simplicity and the personal nature of these storytime animations that made them stand out so much. On a platform where videos are consistently visually and audibly stimulating, screaming, and jump cutting their way into your attention sphere, the emergence of these clean and calm animations were a breath of fresh air.
It's easier to watch than just like someone sitting in front of a camera and talking. It's like adds that extra step of visuals and entertainment that people like.
The uncomplicated visuals means that there's very little to be distracted by, and the personal presentation style alongside the relatable stories gives the medium a truly powerful edge on the platform. So while everyone on YouTube is trying to out-extreme each other as loud and as often as possible, animators are able to release a simple video about their awkward memories or childhood fears and actually compete on the same level, and in many cases totally outperform. So effective has this been that channels not automatically associated with animation have started to adopt fun and simple animation in their presentation. People's ability to utilize animation to create more appealing content and animation's approachability from a production standpoint are only getting better.
Here we are 3 years later with 2 million subscribers, a great community, and pretty much surpassing all my expectations, which were pretty low to begin with, so that part's not as impressive. But it's still crazy!
Now, of course, an opposing perspective to this is that some people might believe that a compromise has had to be made for animation to step back in the game. Specifically, that simple animation has become the norm, while the drive for ambitious or visually complex animation has taken a back seat. Now, to this, I have two counterpoints to offer for your consideration. The first is that because the aesthetic style of a lot of these storytime animation channels is so simple, the barrier for entry is therefore a lot lower for prospective animators, and I believe this is a really good thing. When animation was first exploding on YouTube, the animations were becoming more and more complex and incredible, but also really intimidating for young people who wanted to try their hand or even compete on the same playing field. Whereas because storytime animation is so approachable and appealing, many young teenagers and even children are able to try their hand at something like animation and even build a following and potentially a future business and career from it. And in my opinion, the more people, and especially young people, there are out there being creative and trying their hand at telling compelling stories, the better.
If you have a really great story, I don't think it matters if the visuals, if you've cut some corners on the visuals, right? Like, it doesn't have to be the most beautiful Disney quality animation thing ever. Not everybody is gonna be a Walt Disney level artist. This system enables people to tell more interesting stories, and I think that the stories themselves are more important than people tend to give them credit for.
I've had a lot of people say that, like, oh, I want to get into it, but I'm not a good drawer, and it's like, who cares? Everyone has to start out bad. That's how you get better, so you just need to like get started right now, practice and work hard, and eventually you'll look back and be like, wow, I've improved so much.
The second thing I want to point out is that the most popular YouTube animation channels currently are not satisfied with complacency. In fact, if you dig a little deeper, you'll notice that the top YouTube animators currently are not doing all of the animation themselves. Many of them are employing handfuls of people to help them out with their productions, to raise their production values while maintaining the consistency that YouTube demands.
I'd say that starting out, it should be just you. It should just be you experimenting and figuring out what you like to do and what your content is going to be. It's the chill time to do what you want and figure things out when no one's looking. And then as you start to grow and get experience with yourself and just grow as a person and a YouTube channel, then if you start getting too burnt out and things are too much for just you, that's when you're like, okay, something's got to change here. Either you kind of slow down and take things easy on yourself, or you branch out and hire more people to help you.
In fact, you can take any one of the top 10 current YouTube animators and look at their videos today as opposed to a year or 2 years ago and just notice a huge jump in animation quality, and that's only going to continue. So I believe those are two key points to weigh against that initial argument of it being currently quantity over quality. Specifically, more people can get into it and that's a great thing, but as it gains traction and popularity and people can build businesses from it, more is invested into making it better and better and better. I mean, YouTube animators are artistic people at the end of the day, and artistic people don't like doing the same thing or staying at the same level. We like to move and improve.
Will storytime animation cause them to be complacent? No, because in any field, of course they can see an easy way out to succeed. But there are definitely some people who watch Disney level animation and want to do that for the rest of their life, want to create like motion that captures someone's heart. And so, no, I think people can watch storytime videos and enjoy them, but also watch Disney level animation and be driven by them and want to create them. And that people who really want to create them will go and create them. You know what I mean? This won't stop anybody.
So in conclusion, animation is back. Yay! And it's here to stay. But it was also never dead. And that's kind of something I've wanted to point out for a while. In fact, I want to bring up a video I recorded way back in 2014 when I was pitching in my own thoughts about the death of animation on YouTube, when everyone was panicking about animation no longer having a home on this platform.
This is a dilemma that the internet and the independent animation community is facing right now. There will be solutions. There is a future in independent animation. It's just difficult to see right now because the main source of income for a lot of animators has totally flipped on its own head and kind of screwed a lot of people over.
I believe there always has been and always will be a place for animation on the platforms we use to consume content. And though there was a time where it seemed like an entire community was about to give up on animation or was mourning its loss, it was the risk takers and the creative minds that ignored that sense of abandonment and panic and created and innovated anyway that saw stunning success and birthed a new era of animation on YouTube. The format and medium and presentation of animation will change over time. The point is, it's here to stay and it's always been here, and I told you so. Now, before wrapping up, if you're interested in this topic and sort of the history of where all this has come from, I actually made a mini documentary back in 2016 about the evolution of modern animation. Now, this video is more focused on the current state of animation, but if you're interested in everything leading up to that, before the Renaissance, go check that out. I'll link it in the card and in the description. I interviewed a whole bunch of animation hard hitters and really tell the history of how animation initially exploded on YouTube in the first place. While we're checking out links, go check out the link to my shirts. This is one of my shirts, and I've launched a new shirt. It's the I'm an Adult shirt. It's currently my favorite. I thought this one was more fitting for this video because it has a stylus on it for, you know, animation tools. But anyways, if you're artsy or creative, there's a whole bunch of options there for you, and of course it's a huge support to the channel, so go check that out. And of course, I want to know your thoughts on this video, if you're interested in it, and of course, if you're interested in learning storytime animation, though I don't really do tutorials anymore, I'm considering making a how to make storytime animation video. So if you're interested in learning how to make storytime animation and you don't know where to start, I'm interested in maybe teaching it to you if you want it. So let me know in the comments and let me know your thoughts down there. Thank you so much for watching this video, and of course make sure to like it if you enjoyed it, share it, subscribe to Droid Jazza for more fun with art and creativity, all sorts of fun and shenanigans. That's it for now, ladies and gentlemen, and until next time, I'll see you later. Make sure to subscribe to my channel to see more of my videos, and while you're at it, check out my shop where I sell ebooks, brushes, photo references, video courses, and more. There's another video you might enjoy from my channel over there, and you can also check out my behind the scenes daily vlog channel, Daily Jazza. That's it for now, and until next time, I'll see you later.